The show is officially starting. I am Joe.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, no matter what time zone you are in right now. Welcome back to Sip&Talk. I am Sunny.
Hey everyone, welcome back. So I have to tell you, today's entire topic was really sparked by our mutual friend, Meaty. You know, the guy whose brain literally just never stops running.
Oh, I know. He always has these really deep analytical questions.
Yeah, exactly. He came to me recently with this intensely serious look on his face and just asked, well, what does it actually mean to be kind to yourself?
That is such a Mickey question. I'm guessing he wasn't just, eating a donut and making small talk when he asked that.
Oh, definitely not. He was telling me about observing his sister. Because for her, the whole concept of treating herself works flawlessly. Like if she has a bad day, she gets a premium boba tea or a really nice meal, and boom, she just recharges like a smartphone plugged into a wall.
Right, she just instantly resets.
Exactly. But for Mickey, who is this hyper-logical, super analytical guy, food is literally just fuel. So he was wondering, if a quick treat doesn't fix that internal void, what is the actual universal formula for self-kindness?
And that right there is such a fascinating point. Because for his sister, that sensory satisfaction, that hedonic adaptation, it totally works for her in the moment.
Yeah, it hits the spot.
But for Mickey's logic-driven brain, he needs a much deeper cognitive reconstruction. I mean, I'm sure our Sip&Talkers have felt this too. You look at someone else's happiness checklist, you try to apply it to your own life, and you just feel absolutely nothing.
Totally. You buy the expensive thing and just feel, empty. Plus now you're out the money.
Right. So today we are really going to dismantle this whole commercialized treat-yourself culture. We're going to master the art of being kind to yourself by pulling from everyday observations and some pretty heavy psychological frameworks.
Nice.
Yeah, we want to help you find that personalized formula. So whether you're a total foodie or more of a philosophy nerd, this Sip and Talk is definitely going to resonate.
So let's just get right into why that quick purchase fails so hard for so many of us. I mean, we all know the basics of the hedonic treadmill, right? You buy a thing, you get that quick dopamine spike, you adapt to it, and then you just need to buy more things.
Exactly. The baseline just keeps shifting.
Right. But there's a deeper friction there. Why does buying something to feel better actively make us feel worse sometimes?
Well, behavioral economists have a really great term for this. It's called a negative prediction error.
Oh, negative prediction error. That sounds very tech.
It does, right. But basically, when you purchase that premium boba or that expensive watch, you aren't just buying a material object, you are buying it with this subconscious expectation that it will regulate your nervous system.
Ah, so you're treating it like a software patch for your bad mood.
Exactly. Your brain calculates this equation where it's like, okay, this reward will equal peace, but then reality hits. You finish the drink, and you're still agonizing over that horrible email from your boss.
The peace literally never arrives.
It doesn't. And your brain registers that massive gap between your high expectation and your stressful reality as a huge frustration. So the failed coping mechanism actually compounds the stress.
Wow. So you're left with the original anxiety plus the disappointment of the failed solution.
Right. Which means true self-kindness doesn't actually start with adding material things to our lives. It completely flips the script. It starts with subtracting them.
Subtracting, so what? Minimalism.
Sort of. It begins with the power of refusal. Authentic self-care is fundamentally about emotional decluttering. You have to actively filter out the noise.
Okay, give me an example of that.
So it might mean stepping away from a friendship dynamic that constantly drains your bandwidth, or ruthlessly curating your digital feeds to get rid of all that anxiety-inducing content, and really letting go of this unreasonable expectation that you are the sole manager of everyone else's emotional state.
I mean, I have to push back on that a little bit, though, because culturally, aggressively saying no to people is usually labeled as just being selfish.
Sure, people definitely perceive it that way.
Yeah, like if I just stop managing expectations and filter people out, it sounds like we're advising listeners to build a fortress, pull up the drawbridge, and just leave everyone outside to fend for themselves.
I completely get why it feels that way, but there is a really vital distinction between isolation and energy preservation. I mean, think of your psychological resources like a water reserve. You literally cannot pour water from an empty cup.
Right. If you have no bandwidth, you're useless anyway.
Exactly. If you are perpetually catering to external demands and you never say no, your reserve just runs dry. And that inevitably leads to severe burnout and deep resentment toward the exact people you're trying to support.
Oh, totally. You end up hating the people you're trying to help because they are just draining you.
Right. So establishing a boundary might create some short-term friction, sure, but it ensures long-term sustainability.
Okay, I see the logic there. It's basically stopping the leaks in your boat before you even attempt to row anywhere.
That's a great way to put it.
But sitting in a heavily fortified empty boat isn't much of a life either. So once you've pulled up that drawbridge and you've muted the noise, what do you actually fill that protected space with?
That is the million-dollar question. Because if we aren't chasing the next dopamine hit from shopping, we have to invest in things that actually feed our psychological baseline.
Right.
And psychologists Edward Deci and Richard Ryan mapped this out beautifully. It's called self-determination theory, or SDT.
SDT. Okay, what are the pillars for that?
They identified 3 non-negotiable intrinsic needs for human well-being: autonomy, competence, and relatedness.
Okay, break those down for us.
Sure. So autonomy is the feeling that you are the genuine author of your own choices. Competence is the sense that you can handle challenges, master skills, and actually grow. And relatedness is just the experience of authentic, meaningful connection with others.
Okay, so the friction happens when we try to purchase those intrinsic needs. Like I was just thinking about this in terms of the social comparison trap. Let's say I go out and buy a super high-end luxury watch.
Right, the classic flex.
Exactly. Society applauds that as the ultimate treat-yourself move. But if I interrogate my own motives and I realize I only bought this watch to soothe my anxiety about how my tech peers perceive my career progress.
Then you haven't done something kind for yourself at all.
Right.
Right.
I've actually completely surrendered my autonomy.
Yes. And that is the core paradox of modern consumerism. Actions that are disguised as self-care often just drain our psychological battery because they are performed to manage external perceptions.
It's like performative wellness.
Performative wellness, exactly. You allow the external environment to dictate your operating system.
Which completely shifts how we should view things that feel like chores. Like, let's look at competence. Say I spend my entire Sunday afternoon meal prepping, or I sit at my desk for hours learning a really complex new software logic from my industry.
Not exactly a spa day.
No, not at all. In the moment, it's not relaxing. It feels like heavy cognitive load. But I'm actively building competence. I'm essentially giving a massive gift to future me.
It's delayed gratification as a profound form of self-kindness.
Exactly. By putting in that effort now, I am significantly reducing the cost of my future suffering. You know, making my Tuesday night less chaotic because my meals are prepped, or making my career more secure.
But that brings up a pretty massive contradiction in the modern wellness industry.
Oh, how so?
Well, society constantly sells us the idea that self-care means eliminating all pressure. The absolute dream is supposedly to lie on a beach, sip a cocktail, and literally have zero responsibilities forever.
Yeah, just turning your brain entirely off.
Right. But if building competence requires hard work and delayed gratification, aren't we just inviting more stress into our lives? I mean, most people would laugh if you told them learning software logic was self-care.
They really would.
But the pursuit of a completely stress-free existence is actually one of the most dangerous myths in psychology.
Oh, really? Dangerous.
Oh, absolutely. If you successfully eliminate all pressure and friction from your life, you enter what we call a comfort vacuum. And without any challenge, the brain doesn't just rest, it begins to atrophy. Yeah, a comfort vacuum inevitably leads to mental decay, apathy, and just this really deep sense of meaninglessness.
Because human beings just aren't built to float in a void. We literally need a target to aim at.
Exactly. And Csikszentmihalyi's research on flow proves this perfectly. We don't find our deepest happiness in passive relaxation. We find it when we are deeply engaged in a challenge that sits just slightly above our current skill level.
So it requires effort, but it's not impossible.
Right. True self-kindness often involves looking at your life and deliberately picking a high-quality problem to solve.
A high-quality problem. I absolutely love that framing. And, you know, this perfectly circles back to Mickey.
Oh, his trip.
Yes. For those who don't know, he recently took this massive solo trip across Europe. And I'm not talking about a luxurious, all-inclusive guided tour where someone carries your bags.
Yeah.
He traversed 20 different countries completely by himself.
A logistical undertaking of that scale is essentially just a relentless gauntlet of high-quality problems.
Oh, 100%. I was talking to him about it, and honestly, it sounded exhausting. He was dealing with wildly confusing train schedules, massive language barriers every time he crossed a border, hauling heavy luggage over centuries-old cobblestone streets.
And battling severe jet lag the whole time, I'm sure.
Exactly. It was just constant friction. Yet he described the trip to me as the most profound act of self-kindness he has ever done for himself.
Because he placed himself in an environment that demanded immense personal growth. Navigating all those foreign cities forced him to exercise his autonomy and build his competence every single day. He was operating entirely outside of that comfort vacuum.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate here for a second. Let's say you embrace this philosophy. You take on a high-quality problem, you travel alone, or you volunteer for a massive high-stakes project at work, and then you just completely fail.
It happens.
Right. You miss the international train connection, you lose your passport, you totally tank the presentation. If we constantly push ourselves into uncomfortable territory to find flow, failure isn't just possible, it is mathematically guaranteed.
Oh, absolutely.
So how do we survive the psychological hit of that failure without just spiraling?
That is the exact pivot point between merely surviving and genuinely thriving. When we inevitably fail at those high-quality problems, it requires a fundamental shift in our internal dialogue. We have to move from a competitive framework of self-esteem to a supportive framework of self-compassion.
Wait, most people just use those terms interchangeably, though.
They do, but Dr. Kristen Neff's research shows they are entirely different psychological mechanisms. Self-esteem is inherently comparative. It completely relies on evaluating yourself as above average or, better than your peers.
So it's fragile.
Incredibly fragile because it depends on external metrics and constant success. The moment you fail, your self-esteem just shatters.
You fall right off the pedestal you built for yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. But self-compassion strips away that evaluation entirely. It leans on mindfulness and recognizing our common humanity. It's about understanding that making mistakes, feeling lost, and experiencing failure are just universal parts of the human condition.
So it's more grounded.
Very grounded. It balances two critical elements: cold reality and warm inclusion.
Cold reality meaning we aren't just doing that toxic positivity thing. We're actually facing the facts.
Precisely. You look at the failure with dead honesty. You acknowledge that you missed the train because you simply didn't check the schedule properly.
Right. No deflecting blame to the train system.
No making excuses. You need that clarity to actually learn. But you pair that cold reality with warm inclusion. Instead of launching into a hypercritical internal monologue calling yourself an idiot or a failure, you treat yourself with the exact same warmth and understanding you would offer a good friend in the exact same situation.
You essentially provide your own psychological safety net. And that is the exact lesson Mickey learned on his European trip. He told me the absolute hardest part of solo travel wasn't the physical exhaustion or the weird currency exchanges. It was the realization that when you are completely alone and you mess up, there's literally no one there to catch you.
Right, there's no buffer.
There's no friend to vent to, no one to pat you on the back and say, hey, it'll be fine. You are forced to become your own teammate.
Because when you remove external support structures, your internal dialogue becomes your only reality.
Yeah. He said he literally had to train himself to speak out loud. When he was lost in a random city at midnight, instead of attacking himself, he would say out loud, hey, it's okay, you're trying, you're exhausted, the map is confusing, but you're doing your best. He just became his own cheerleader.
And this dynamic extends way beyond solo travel. It dictates the health of all our relationships. Think about finding a romantic partner. A truly strong relationship isn't one where you never argue.
That's a myth.
A total myth. It's one where you both fundamentally know you are on the same team. When a crisis hits or someone makes a huge mistake, you never weaponize those weaknesses against each other.
Oh, man, yeah. If a relationship requires you to constantly be on the defensive, just bracing for your partner to use your failures as ammunition.
That's not love.
No, that's a hostage situation.
Okay.
It's just long-term exhaustion.
And the really sobering truth is you cannot accept a healthy, supportive dynamic from a partner if you aren't first providing it to yourself. If your internal dialogue is constant warfare, you will either normalize a partner who attacks you, or you will subconsciously sabotage a kind partner because their warmth feels alien and uncomfortable.
Wow. So stopping the internal attacks and learning to be our own teammate, that essentially stops the bleeding. That creates the foundation.
Exactly.
But how do we build the house on top of it? Because if we want a sustainable architecture for happiness, we need a blueprint.
Yeah.
Most of our Sip&Talkers probably have the base of Maslow's hierarchy covered. They have food and shelter. But they're still psychologically exhausted.
Right. So to move from baseline survival to active thriving, positive psychology offers Martin Seligman's PERMA model.
PERMA. Okay, what does that stand for?
It stands for positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment.
Let's ground this a bit so it doesn't just sound like we're reading a textbook. Let's take engagement. This connects perfectly to what we just said about flow, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because engagement isn't mindlessly scrolling social media for 3 hours to numb your brain. Engagement is losing track of time because you are so deeply dialed in to a complex task or a creative hobby. Your bandwidth is fully utilized.
And then meaning is arguably the most critical piece for preventing that deep burnout. Meaning is the act of serving something larger than yourself.
Like community work?
Yeah, your local community, raising a family, or contributing to a field of research. We see this all the time in the tech space. People with highly lucrative careers hit massive burnout because their work just lacks meaning.
Oh, 100%. No amount of premium boba or luxury watches will cure the exhaustion that comes from a meaningless existence.
Never. And then accomplishment is just taking a moment to actually celebrate the small daily wins instead of immediately moving the goalpost to the next stressful target.
Synthesizing all of this, from the hedonic treadmill to the power refusal, all the way to this PERMA model, it really boils down to a single distinction for me. Spoiling yourself makes you weak, but truly loving yourself makes you strong.
That is a phenomenal way to distill it.
It's the difference between numbing yourself with a quick distraction versus taking on a challenge that sharpens your mind. One is an escape, the other is an actual investment.
But I do want to make sure we don't fall into another trap here. We've talked about a lot of psychological frameworks today: flow, self-compassion, SDT. The danger is turning all of this into just another stressful wellness checklist.
Oh, the dreaded wellness checklist.
Oh.
Like, oh man, I must meditate for 20 minutes, drink a perfectly balanced green smoothie, achieve flow state by noon, and practice self-compassion, or else I've failed at self-care.
Right. If your pursuit of self-kindness becomes another rigid KPI that triggers anxiety, it completely defeats its own purpose. True self-kindness shouldn't be a forced objective. It should eventually become as natural as breathing.
Like breathing. I really love that. Just an involuntary rhythm.
It is a fluid, mindful awareness. Some days it might mean pushing yourself to run 5 miles and tackle a high-quality problem, but other days it means recognizing your tank is completely empty, ordering a pizza, and ignoring your emails without a single ounce of guilt.
You just need the awareness to know which one you require in the moment.
Exactly. Let self-kindness return to its purest state, which is just giving yourself the exact support you need in any given moment.
Just a natural state of being.
Right. And before we wrap up today, I do want to leave everyone with a final forward-looking thought.
Okay, hit us.
We talked extensively about how crucial high-quality problems and friction are for our psychological growth, right? But look at the trajectory of our modern world. The entire convenience economy, and now artificial intelligence, is designed to systematically eliminate friction from our lives.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
We can outsource our writing, our navigation, our cooking, our thinking. If technology solves all our high-quality problems for us, are we quietly engineering a universal comfort vacuum that will slowly rob us of the very competence and resilience we need to thrive?
Oh, man. That is a heavy but absolutely necessary question. If we outsource the struggle, we might just outsource our own growth. As Sip&Talkers, I really want you to carry that thought with you today. Think about it on your commute or while you're making dinner.
We really want to hear where you land on this.
Yes, please leave comments or send us an email with your thoughts on today's topic, or honestly, any international topics you want us to tackle next. We read every single one of them.
We really do.
And if you enjoyed today's Sip and Talk, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. And hey, we definitely have to give a massive shout out to the man who inspired today's show.
Yes.
You all have to go check out Mickey's incredibly entertaining Fukuoka and Kumamoto Observation Diary vlog. It is up right now on his YouTube channel, Mickey to Life.
It is such a great watch. You really don't want to miss it.
You can literally see him out there tackling high-quality problems and practicing these theories on the road. It's fantastic. Thank you all for tuning in today. Keep exploring, stay curious, and above all, stay rational. We will see you next time.